One of the reasons I want the backup camera is so that I can see what is going on with my car behind me as I'm towing it down the road. Again, it's very unsettling not seeing anything behind you and just hoping that it's still there. Hello everyone and welcome back to our next video. So I've been on the road since January of 2010, traveling in my Class C motorhome, towing behind me a small vehicle. One of those irrational fears I've always had is that when I'm driving down the road, I can't actually see the vehicle behind me and make sure it's still attached. I know, that's an irrational fear. It's going to be there, but I always am curious what is going on back there. So one of the solutions I thought of was to actually get a backup camera for my motorhome so that I can see what's going on behind me while I'm traveling down the road. I mentioned this to a friend of mine and she recommended that I contact AUTO-VOX, a company that had given her a backup camera to use on her van. So through that friend's recommendation, I went ahead and contacted AUTO-VOX right here, and they sent me one of their many products that they offer as backup cameras. This was given to me for free in exchange for a fair and honest review. So today we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about backup cameras in general and specifically this item right here. Now, before we get into this specific product, I want to touch on some of the reasons you may want to buy a backup camera. The obvious reason is for backing up, right? Well, it can be more than that. So first off, I don't back up very often when I'm in my motorhome, especially when I have my car attached. You just can't do it. But there have been times where I will be backing into a spot, my car's unhooked, and I'll have to back up a little bit, put it in park, run outside, look in the back, see how much further I have to go, run to the car, reverse a little bit more, and I do this on and on and on, and it gets very annoying and very repetitive. It would be nice to have a backup camera just to let me know how close I am to objects such as fences, trees, things like that. So that's the first reason that you may want to get a backup camera. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, one of the reasons I want the backup camera is so that I can see what is going on with my car behind me as I'm towing it down the road. Again, it's very unsettling not seeing anything behind you and just hoping that it's still there. Now, aside from being able to see that my car is back there, another reason is when I'm driving, I can put on the monitor real quick, look behind me and see if any cars are coming up really quickly when I want to do a lane change. So that's kind of a nice feature to have. Now, another reason to have one of these backup cameras is actually for security reasons. Just because it's a backup camera doesn't mean you have to put it on the back of your vehicle. So a friend of mine in a van, they actually set one of these cameras up on the side door of their van so that if they get a knock on the door, they can actually turn the monitor on and see who is there. And they can see what's going on. If they maybe hear a weird noise in the middle of the night, they can flip this monitor on, see what is going on the outside of the van. They actually have one set up on the side of the van as well as the back of their van. Again, and that's just for security reasons. Now, there are probably tons of other reasons I'm not even thinking about. Those are the ones that came to my mind. I would love to hear what you folks think out there about other reasons that you may want to have a backup camera installed on your vehicle, whether it's in the back, on the side, or somewhere I'm not even thinking of. So now that I've told you some of the reasons why you might want to have a backup camera on your vehicle, let's go over this specific product. This is the AUTO-VOX Solar One Pro, and it comes with the backup camera right here. It comes with some double-sided tape that is a secondary way of installing it. We'll talk about that in a second. Also comes with the monitor that just plugs into a 12-volt power outlet, just like that. And then the way you mount the monitor is with a suction cup. You can either do that to your glass windshield. If you have a smooth enough dashboard, you can put it there or someplace else. We'll figure out what's going to work best for my specific application. Now, right now, this particular product goes for $149.99 on Amazon. But there is a $40 off coupon that is currently being promoted. And so that brings the price down to $109.99, which I think is pretty affordable and pretty reasonable. So the way this thing is supposed to be mounted is on a license plate, which is kind of a cool little feature that you basically remove your license plate, put this on and put the screws through the holes right here. And then it is just at your license plate level. For my particular situation, that's not going to work because of where my license plate is right here. it's going to be partially obstructed by my bike rack. And so I don't think that option will work as well, but they also give you some double-sided tape right here that you can mount it on. So my thought is that I'd probably mount it a little higher up on my rig above the bike rack, centered, and so that I can see a little bit higher. I can see past the car behind me. Now, if those options don't work, another option that they give you is they actually sent me a magnetic mount. This thing is pretty cool. It does run right now $24.99 on Amazon. Basically, it's a mount that you can put it on your van, anything that's metal. My motorhome is all aluminum, so it doesn't work for my particular instance, but for my car right here, this magnet is very strong, and it would do a really good job of hanging on while you're driving down the road. Now, the one downside of this is that as far as theft, someone could just come by and swipe that off. My friend actually has hers set up high on the rig, so you'd probably need a step ladder to get up there. But again, not the most secure way using the magnet mount, but it is an option. Now, speaking of security, they do have a little set screw here that is supposed to be an anti-theft option for you. All it really is a little Allen wrench set screw in there to keep people from taking it off. But honestly, it probably wouldn't be that difficult to just remove, or if you had a little Allen wrench, you'd just be able to zip it off real quick. But in the end, nothing is going to be completely theft proof. And so this is really just a deterrent, just in case someone is walking by, they can't just grab it, especially since it'll be bolted onto your license plate. For the camera itself, it's kind of cool. It has a solar panel right here. Now you can always remove the camera itself from your vehicle. You just use the anti-theft set screw to remove the camera, and then you can actually go and charge it up with a battery charger. Now this uses a USB micro attachment, which I'm not a huge fan of, I'll be honest. I feel like that's a little dated. Everything now should be going to USB-C, but there are still plenty of things that have the USB micro. So not a huge deal, but it is something to think about. So although this solar panel is kind of small, my thought is that it'll make the camera work just a little bit longer, and so you won't have to charge it up as often. The other cool feature is it does have this swivel for the camera itself. So once it's mounted like this, it can swivel to decide what angle is best for backing up. For me, since I'm going to be mounting it up high, I'll have it slightly pointed down, and we'll see how that goes. Now, the monitor itself that it comes with, again, once you have it plugged into your outlet, it basically has different options of it'll automatically turn off after either 45 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, or 120 seconds. You can set that in the settings. You can also control the brightness and contrast of the display. Now, the way the camera is set up, you actually have a power button on the side. You are to turn it on. It pairs with the monitor. You can basically keep it on for quite a long time. They say fully charged, it'll last 75 days. Again, that might depend somewhat on how much solar it's bringing in, but 75 days is a pretty long time to be using this. The monitor, you're always gonna have plugged in to the wire right here, but the fact that this thing is completely wireless is a huge benefit to me, because I know other backup cameras, they have a wired installation where you put it into the tail lights or some other electrical system. This is all completely wireless, so the installation is going to be a breeze. You just put it in the back of your vehicle, and then through probably Bluetooth or some other frequency, it is able to transmit it to the monitor right here. It's kind of a cool thing for me, because I don't want to do any extra wiring, and I just wanted something simple. I can slap it on, and you're done with it. Now that I've explained all the items that we received with this package and some of the benefits of them, we're gonna go ahead and put it on my vehicle, on my motorhome here, and we're gonna set it up, and then we're gonna see what that looks like. And at the end, I'm gonna give you a review after I've driven with it for a little while. Now, as I mentioned, so some of the ways you can install this thing is actually to put it right here, basically behind your license plate right here. This just kind of will remove it, hook behind there, and then it's held in by the screws. With this, I would have a hard time adjusting the camera here, different angles, but that is an option. Now, since this is so close to this light, that might not work for me. You can also attach it on the bottom. So you just put it back behind there, put screws in there, and then it would be held up like that. And again, you can adjust this camera different angles so that you can get the one that would work best for your vehicle. But again, the issue I'm running into is that I have a bike cover right here that's going to be partially obstructing things. And being this low, I'm not gonna be able to see a ton of my car and only on the driver's side of the area. I wanna see the whole area behind me, so both left and right of my car. So this mount won't work the best for me, but for many of you guys, it would. So I went ahead and attached the camera to the back of my rig here. Now, because I have these ridges on the siding, unfortunately, only about half of the two-sided tape is actually stuck to it. So I went ahead and added the little rope tether there so that if it does detach while I'm driving down the road, it'll at least just hang from the ladder and I won't lose it completely. So now that I've had the camera installed in the back, I'm going to go ahead and put on the camera mount right here, the monitor, to see what I see in the back. It does come with this suction cup. That actually feels pretty sticky. That's like a sticker almost, but it says it's a suction cup. So I'm going to trust that. So I'm going to put it actually down here. Hopefully this is not a sticker and it actually is a suction cup. Because I don't know if I want this permanently attached. We'll see what happens. Okay, so it seems like it's all paired up pretty well, and the display is right here. I'm gonna go ahead and change the angle of the camera right now just to get a little different view for the monitor. Okay, so I was able to adjust the camera a little bit. And I'm gonna wait until I hook up my car tomorrow and start traveling, and then I'll adjust that camera a little bit more. But everything so far seems pretty easy. Again, just plugged it into my 12-volt power source right here. And again, this thing goes off after a few minutes, and you just hit a button on the side to make it come back on. Otherwise, everything's been pretty simple and straightforward. Again, I love the fact that I didn't have to wire anything, that you just plug it in, attach it on the back, and it's ready to go. But we'll go ahead and give it the real test tomorrow. When I travel, I'll be driving about 200 miles tomorrow, see how I like it and play around with the features a little bit. And we'll go from there. So after using the AUTO-VOX Solar One Pro for about 2 weeks or so and on a 200-mile drive, I wanted to give you my final thoughts on some pros and cons. So first and foremost, loved the fact that it was very easy to install. It seriously only took me minutes, whether you put it on your license plate or, as I did, putting it up higher on my rig just with a sticker and then plugging the electric plug in, and it works. It's very simple. There's no wiring. Loved that. So another pro for this particular device is I thought it was very reasonably priced. It wasn't the cheapest. It certainly wasn't the most expensive, but I thought it was right in the middle there. And especially when they had the coupon going, I think it's a great deal. And the last pro, in which I think is probably the most important thing, is from the reviews on Amazon, they have excellent customer service. And just from me working with them as well, they're very responsive. I think that is hugely important if a company backs their product and has good customer service, because things will eventually go wrong. We're on the road, things are bouncing around, and the fact that they will stick by their product is very important, and I think that's always something we should be looking for. Now, some of the drawbacks for this particular device that I ran into was the image quality was not the best. It's rated at 480p, which isn't the best image quality, but for my purposes, it was good enough, but is certainly not high resolution. So just keep that in mind. You can see objects behind you, but you can't see the minute detail of things. So if that's important to you, this may not be the device for you, but for most of us, I think it would work out just fine. Another thing that, I don't know if it's a con or not, but with our modern devices, we're so used to touch screens and so forth. I was a little thrown off when I was trying to hit the screen on the monitor. So it is not a touch screen. At this price point, I don't think you could expect that, but just keep that in mind that you use buttons on the side to toggle the monitor and do different of the settings, but ultimately, it's fine without a touchscreen, but I at least wanted you to know that in advance. And the final con that I came up with was it does not have night vision. So this camera does not work in the dark at all. So if you're using it for security purposes, keep that in mind. You would need a secondary light, either a motion sensing light or something of that order, or maybe a light that you can turn on and off if you want the camera to work to see who is outside of your rig. Again, not a huge deal, but it is something to consider. If you are wanting it for nighttime security and don't have a way of putting a light on, you may want to consider a different camera. So after all those pros and cons that I just spoke of, my final thoughts on this device is that I think for the price and for the convenience of the easy install, it is without a doubt something I would purchase on my own, especially when it's backed by that good customer service. Well, I hope that you guys got something out of today's video and I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any thoughts on backup cameras or this particular device, please start the conversation in the comments below. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. If you got anything out of today's video, please give it a big thumbs up, share it with friends, subscribe to the channel, and until next time, we'll see you down the road. So long, guys.